I'm going to show you how to make the Calla Lilly design from the Floral Coaster Set from Kreative Kiwi, and I'm going to be doing the double satin stitch frame version. For this I'm going to be using my 5x7 hoop, 2 layers of wash away stabiliser. I've got threads, one with a matching bobbin, my squizzers, masking tape and my fabrics and batting cut to size. I'm also going to be recycling the lining out of an isothermic shopping bag. They're the sort that you buy for frozen foods in the supermarkets, and I've just I had a bag that's reached the end of its useful life, so I've cut it up and removed the centre from it, and it's this like shiny tough plasticky stuff, and I'm going to be using that as the waterproofing in my coaster. You're going to start out by hooping your 2 layers of wash away stabiliser. So place it over the bottom frame and then insert the inner frame. To prevent your stabiliser from being pulled down between the 2 hoop parts, we're going to pin around the top edge of our hoop. You can use any pins that have got a head. Take your pin, push it through the stabiliser by resting the pin on top of your inner hoop, bring it back round and push it through the stabiliser again. The bigger the hoop that you use, the more pins you will use around the edge. Load your thread for the centre motif into your machine, and then you're going to stitch round number 1, and that's going to give you your placement outline for your batting. In the instructions it says to place your fabric and batting over the outline like so, and then you would tape it in place and stitch round number 2. I'm going to be doing mine a little bit differently. I like to trim my batting up before my fabric gets stitched down. I find it easier. So I'm going to be stitching round number 2 twice, once for the batting and then the second time for the fabric. So I'm going to place my batting over the outline and then I'm going to tape it in place. And now I'm going to stitch round number 2. If you don't know how to skip backwards and forwards through the colours on your embroidery machine, have a look in your user manual. It's a really useful, I would say skill, but it's not exactly a skill, but it's a really useful thing to be able to do, because there's some times where you need to be able to do this to sort problems out. So well worth learning. Load your thread for the design motif into your machine, and then you're going to stitch round number 1, and that's going to give you your placement outline for your batting and fabric. I've reset my machine to stitch colour number 2 again, and the icon that you're looking for, it looks like a cotton reel with a plus or a minus on it, and that will skip colours for you. So all you have to do is push the minus to go back and the plus to go forward. I'm now going to trim up the excess batting from around the edge. I'm now going to place my frame fabric over the outline and tape it in place. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 2 again. Next you're going to place your fabric over the outline for the middle. If, like me, you've got a dark fabric and a thin top, it could show through underneath. So all you need to do, take a stitch unpicker and just nick the fabric just so that you can get your scissors in, and then trim away the fabric from the middle of the coaster. Then you're going to place your centre fabric over the outline and tape it in place. Pop your hoop into your machine and then stitch round number 3 to secure it. Make sure that you've got the thread colour that you want for the motif in the centre of your coaster loaded into your machine, and then you're going to stitch round number 4. I've removed the tape from my centre fabric. We're next going to trim up the excess fabric from around the stitch line here. You're now going to stitch round number 5, and that's going to do the zigzag stitching around this raw edge. I'm changing my thread colour to purple, and I'm going to load the matching bobbin in at the same time. And the reason being is this is going to be the satin stitching around here and here is going to be done in that colour. So make sure you've got the thread colour that you want for the quilting on your outer frame loaded into your machine, and then you're going to stitch round number 6. Change your thread to whichever colour you want for the satin stitching on the inner part of the frame. I'm staying with the royal purple, and then you're going to stitch round number 7. We're now going to add our backing, and if you're adding a moisture-proof layer or waterproof layer, you're going to do this at the same time. So we're going to turn our hoop over. I'm going to place my waterproofing layer down over the outline, and it doesn't really matter which side I use. Then I'm going to tape it in place. Then place your fabric over the top and then tape that in place as well. You're now going to pop your hoop into your machine, and you're going to stitch round number 8, and that's going to secure the layers to your hoop. We're now going to trim up the excess fabric and lining from the back and front of the hoop. So we'll start from the back, turn your hoop over, and then trim up around the stitch line. Load your matching bobbin and thread into your machine with whatever colour you want for the outer satin stitching on the frame, and then you're going to stitch round number 9. You're now going to free your work from the hoop, so turn your hoop over and trim around the edge of the stitch line. now going to remove the excess stabiliser. So I've got some warm water and a cotton bud. Dip it in and just wipe it round the edge. And that's our coaster finished. I hope you enjoyed this stitch along. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified of new videos as they're published. Do pop along to Creative Kiwi's Facebook group. There's lots of ideas, help and inspiration there for everybody. And thank you very much for joining me. You'll find a link to this design along with lots of other information and discount codes in the video description.